How do you marry someone you've never met? How do you promise forever to a complete stranger? Most people believe love comes first and marriage follows. But sometimes, life writes the story in reverse. This is the true story of a young woman who walked down the aisle with a man she'd never seen, believing she was sacrificing her future. She had no idea. She was about to meet the only man who would ever truly love her. Everyone called it an arranged marriage. Some called it outdated. Others called it a business deal. But no one knew the heartbreaking promise that had been made decades earlier, or the devastating secret the groom carried into that wedding. Before their first anniversary, one impossible decision would change both of their lives forever. At 27, Emily Carter believed she had her entire life ahead of her. She wasn't rich. She wasn't famous. But she had something many people spend their whole lives searching for: peace. She loved her work as a graphic designer. Every project was another chance to turn imagination into something beautiful. She believed in earning everything she had. She believed in making her own choices. And above all, she believed that love should never be forced. To Emily, marriage wasn't a contract between families. It wasn't a business arrangement. It wasn't a promise made by someone else. It was supposed to begin with a glance that made your heart race, a conversation that lasted until sunrise, and the quiet certainty that you had finally found your person. She dreamed that one day she'd fall in love naturally, the way she'd always imagined. Then, everything changed. Not over months. Not over years. In just 1 week. The business her parents had spent 30 years building was collapsing. Her mother's illness demanded treatments they could no longer afford. Every phone call brought another debt. Every sunrise carried another impossible decision. For the first time in her life, Emily realized that sometimes love isn't the first thing a family fights to protect. Sometimes survival comes first. There are moments in life when a parent realizes they can no longer protect their child. For David Carter, that moment had finally arrived. He slowly folds the documents and gestures for Emily to sit. His hands tremble. He struggles to find the words. Finally, he speaks. "Father, Emily, there's something I've never told you. 25 years ago, before you were born, I made a promise." Emily looks at him, confused. Her father reaches into an old wooden box and removes a faded photograph. Two young men stand side by side, smiling with their arms around each other's shoulders. One is her father, the other, a man she has never seen. They had grown up with nothing. They built dreams together. And before life took them down different paths, they made a promise they believed would never be needed. "Father, we promised each other, if one family ever faced a crisis the other couldn't overcome, our children would become one family." Emily freezes. The room falls silent. She waits for him to laugh, to tell her it's an old joke. He doesn't. Instead, he lowers his head. "Father, my best friend kept his word. He built a successful business. He's willing to pay every hospital bill. He'll save our home. He'll clear every debt." Emily's eyes begin to fill with tears. Then comes the sentence that steals the air from the room. "Father, there's only one condition. You must marry his son." The words echo in Emily's mind. "Marry a complete stranger." She pushes back her chair. "Emily, no. Dad, you can't ask me to do this. Marriage isn't a debt that someone pays off. I won't spend the rest of my life with a man I've never met." Her father doesn't argue. He simply looks toward the hallway where Emily's mother lies asleep after another exhausting treatment. The silence says everything. Emily follows his gaze. She sees the oxygen machine, the medication bottles, the unopened hospital bills stacked beside the bed. For the first time, Emily realized this wasn't a choice between love and tradition. It was a choice between her future and her mother's chance to survive. Her father quietly whispers, "Father, I would never ask this of you. If there were any other way." Emily closes her eyes. Tears roll down her face. Because deep inside, she already knows. Some choices don't feel like choices at all. In just 7 days, Emily Carter would walk down the aisle. Not because she had found the man she loved, but because she couldn't bear to lose the people she already did. For 3 days, Emily imagined the man she was about to marry. In her mind, there was only one explanation. A man willing to accept an arranged marriage in the 21st century had to be arrogant. Someone who believed money could buy obedience. Someone who expected a wife, not a partner. Someone who would control every chapter of her life. She closes her eyes, taking a slow breath. If this marriage was unavoidable, she whispers to herself, at least let me survive it. The car stops in front of an elegant estate. The driver opens the door. Emily steps out, her heart pounding. Every step toward the front entrance feels heavier than the last. The massive doors slowly open. Standing in the middle of the grand foyer is Ethan, not surrounded by bodyguards, not barking orders, not dressed to impress, just a simple navy blue shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He looks calm, approachable, almost ordinary. He offers a gentle smile. Ethan, Emily, thank you for coming. She doesn't smile back. She studies him, waiting for the mask to fall. It never does. Instead, Ethan notices how uncomfortable she is. He politely dismisses the house staff, leaving the two of them alone. He pours her a cup of tea before making one for himself. Neither speaks. The silence is almost unbearable. Finally, Ethan breaks it. Ethan, I know you didn't choose this. Emily looks up, surprised. And I know you're probably wondering what kind of man agrees to something like this. He pauses before continuing. So let me tell you the only thing that matters. He meets her eyes. Ethan, I'm not forcing you into this. If you walk away today, I'll tell everyone it was my decision. No one will blame you. Your future should never be decided by guilt. Emily stares at him, speechless. This wasn't the conversation she had prepared for. There was no arrogance, no threats, no demands, only kindness. And somehow, that frightened her even more. For the first time since this nightmare had begun, Emily found herself asking a completely different question. If Ethan wasn't the selfish man she had imagined, then why would someone like him agree to an arranged marriage? What secret was he carrying behind those quiet eyes? The camera lingers on Ethan as he gazes out the window, his smile fading the moment Emily looks away. For just a second, his expression reveals a sadness too deep for words. A secret he isn't ready to tell. Sometimes, the people who smile the most are the ones hiding the greatest pain. To everyone watching, it was the wedding of the year, a celebration of two powerful families, a picture-perfect beginning. But the most beautiful weddings often hide the deepest heartbreak. Emily reaches the altar. Ethan is already waiting. He offers a gentle smile, not one of triumph, but of understanding. As their eyes meet, he notices the fear she is trying so hard to hide. The officiant begins the ceremony. They exchange vows. Rings are placed on trembling hands. The guests erupt into applause. Cameras flash. Champagne glasses rise in celebration. Yet beneath all the laughter, two strangers have just promised each other forever. They shared a house, but not a life. They shared a last name, but not their hearts. Weeks become months. Without asking for anything in return, Ethan begins changing Emily's life in ways she never notices at first. When she works late into the night on freelance design projects, he quietly leaves a cup of fresh coffee outside her studio door. No note, no interruption, just warm coffee waiting for her. On the morning of an important client presentation, he notices her car won't start. Before she can panic, a replacement car is already waiting. He never mentions it. When Emily dreams of opening her own design studio, she assumes he'll dismiss the idea. Instead, he listens, really listens. Days later, she finds a beautifully organized folder on her desk. Business plans, office locations, financial projections, every detail carefully researched. Attached is a handwritten note. Ethan, your dream deserves a chance. Don't let this marriage become the reason you stop believing in yourself. Emily reads the note twice. Then a third time. She doesn't know what to say. No one has ever supported her so quietly, or so completely. Ethan never demanded her affection, never asked for gratitude, never crossed the boundaries she had set. Some people try to prove their love with grand speeches. Others prove it through the smallest acts of kindness. One rainy evening, Emily watches Ethan from the kitchen window as he patiently helps an elderly neighbor carry groceries inside. He has no idea she's watching. There are no cameras, no audience, no reward, just kindness. For the first time, the image she'd created of him begins to crumble. Maybe he wasn't pretending to be a good man. Maybe he truly was one. As Ethan walks back through the rain, he notices Emily standing by the window. Their eyes meet. This time, she doesn't look away. She offers the smallest smile, and without realizing it, it is the first smile she has ever given her husband. Sometimes, love doesn't begin with fireworks. Sometimes, it begins with one quiet act of kindness. repeated every single day. In a single moment, every question Emily had ever asked suddenly had an answer. Flashbacks begin. Ethan giving her the spare bedroom, leaving coffee outside her office, encouraging her dream, never asking for affection, never expecting anything in return. Every memory feels different now, not because Ethan had changed, but because the truth had. That evening, Ethan quietly walks through the front door. He immediately notices the folder resting on the dining table. Their eyes meet. Neither of them speaks. Finally, Emily whispers, "Emily, why didn't you tell me?" Ethan lowers his head. A faint smile crosses his face. Not because he's happy, because he always knew this day would come. He pulls out a chair and sits across from her. After a long silence, he begins. "Ethan, my condition was diagnosed 3 years ago. The doctors tried everything. Some days are better than others. But they were honest with me. They don't know how much time I have left." Emily's eyes fill with tears. She struggles to understand. "Emily, then why? Why agree to marry someone who never wanted this?" Ethan looks toward the family portrait hanging on the wall. His voice is calm, almost peaceful. "Ethan, because my father was dying. His greatest wish was to see me married before he left this world." He pauses, gathering the strength to continue. "And because I needed to know that when I'm gone, everything my family built would belong to someone with kindness in their heart, not someone chasing money or power." He looks back at Emily. His eyes are gentle. "Ethan, your father never asked for help until he had no other choice. I knew the kind of family you came from. Saving your mother, saving your home. That mattered more to me than my own future." Emily can no longer hold back the tears. She realizes something even more painful. Throughout their marriage, Ethan had never once tried to make her love him. He had simply hoped she would never regret choosing to stay. "Ethan, softly, I never expected you to love me, Emily. I only hoped, one day, you wouldn't hate me." Silence fills the room. Emily remembers every quiet sacrifice, every gentle smile, every moment he put her happiness before his own. She realizes that while she was waiting for the marriage to feel real, Ethan had already been loving her in silence. For months, without asking for anything, she slowly walks toward him. Her hands tremble as she reaches for his. For the first time since their wedding day, she holds them willingly. Tears stream down her face. Emily, whispering, "I spent so much time believing I was trapped. I never noticed. The only person setting me free was you." Ethan says nothing. He simply squeezes her hand. The silence between them no longer feels empty. It feels like home. Narrator. Sometimes, the greatest love stories don't begin when two people meet. They begin the moment one person finally sees what was there all along. Sometimes, life has a cruel sense of timing. Just when Emily finally understood what love truly looked like, she discovered that time was the one thing they no longer had. Emily slowly walks toward Ethan. Before he can turn around, she wraps her arms around him from behind. He freezes. It's the first time she has ever embraced him without hesitation. For a moment, neither of them speaks. Then, through quiet tears, Emily whispers, "Emily, I was wrong about you. I thought this marriage had stolen my future, but you became the best part of it." She gently turns him to face her. Her eyes are filled with tears, but this time, they are tears of love. "Emily, I love you, Ethan. Not because you saved my family. Not because you sacrificed everything for me. I love you because every single day, you chose kindness when you had every reason to become bitter, and I want whatever time we have left to spend it beside you." Ethan's eyes glisten. For a long moment, he can't find the words. Then he smiles. The kind of smile that comes only once in a lifetime. "Ethan, softly, this is the happiest day of my life." He gently wipes away her tears, then pulls her into a quiet embrace. Montage begins. Soft piano swells. The seasons begin to change. Emily and Ethan dance barefoot in the living room while dinner simmers on the stove. They burn pancakes together and laugh until they can't breathe. They wander through New York's glowing streets at night, sharing roasted chestnuts and warm coffee. They take spontaneous road trips, singing along to songs neither of them knows completely. They stand on a quiet beach at sunrise, their hands tightly intertwined. Emily fills an old camera with photographs. Pictures of laughter. Pictures of stolen kisses. Pictures of ordinary days that suddenly feel priceless. Every photograph becomes a memory they refuse to lose. They stopped counting the years they might have together. and started making every single day worth remembering. But happiness can be heartbreak's quiet companion. The laughter slowly fades. The music softens. The photographs become fewer. Ethan begins coughing more often. His smile grows weaker. The walks become shorter. Hospital visits become longer. Prescription bottles fill the kitchen counter. One evening, Emily finds him struggling to catch his breath after climbing only a few stairs. He tries to laugh it off, but she sees the truth. His hands are trembling. His strength is fading, and no amount of love can stop time. Emily quietly holds him as he rests his head against her shoulder. Neither of them says a word, because some fears are too painful to speak aloud. The greatest tragedy wasn't that Emily had married a stranger. It was that she had finally found the love of her life, just as life was preparing to take him away. Some love stories are measured by decades. Others, by the moments that change us forever. The sound of a newborn baby crying fills the room. Emily sits in a hospital bed, tears streaming down her face as she cradles her tiny son. She smiles through the pain. She gently kisses his forehead. Emily, softly. Hello? Ethan, your daddy would have loved to meet you. The screen fades to white. Then, a few months later, Emily walks slowly through the family home, carrying her baby boy in her arms. She stops in front of a framed portrait of Ethan. The little boy reaches toward the photograph with his tiny hand. Emily smiles, though her eyes glisten with tears. She takes a deep breath and whispers, Emily, our marriage may have been arranged, but our love was written by destiny. She gently kisses her son's forehead. Outside, the morning sun breaks through the clouds. Love isn't measured by how long two people have together. It's measured by how deeply they change each other's lives. Ethan gave Emily more than a future. He gave her the courage to believe that the greatest acts of love are often the quietest. And although his heartbeat faded, his love continued. In every memory, every sacrifice, and in the little boy who would grow up hearing the story of the father who taught the world that true love isn't found in perfect beginnings. It's found in selfless endings. Sometimes, the greatest love stories don't begin with a choice. They begin with a sacrifice. A few seconds later, if this story touched your heart, remember to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who still believes in the power of true love.